Meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll read our disclaimer. This is the January 7th, 2022 scheduled meeting of the Shelter Island Town Board. And for the record, we do have a quorum present. The notice of the meeting followed the open meetings law as amended by Executive Order 202.1, allowing meetings to take place telephonically or through other similar services. We will be using Zoom and will be recording the meeting, which will be available upon request at Town Hall. Additionally, we will be following the voting protocol used by the Suffolk County Legislature at its March 17th, 2020 meeting. All voting on board matters and resolutions will be done by roll call, and we ask that all board members clearly state their name when making a motion and clearly state their vote when their name is called. As per Executive Order 202.1, there will be limited participants physically present at this meeting. The web link to view the meeting has been publicized, and members of the public have the ability to listen and to view the meeting. Okay, Dottie, any correspondence?
Yes, I have a declaration of a snow emergency declared by the supervisor to be in effect from 12 a.m. on January 7th and not to exceed 12 hours. And notification that Jane Roberts has submitted her resignation from town employee effective and immediately. That's it.
Okay, thanks, Dot. Okay, we will start our resolutions. Let's see, I'm looking at Amber, Jim, Meg, and BJ. No, I'm sorry. BJ, you're first. BJ,
Right.
Amber, Jim, and Meg.
All right, give that
Okay.
one more time, Jerry.
BJ, Amber, Jim, and then Meg, and then me.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
Whereas section 64K, parens 6, close parens of the town law of the state of New York requires any town wishing to implement the community housing fund to appoint an advisory committee and develop a community housing plan. Now therefore be it resolved that there is established in the town of Shelter Island a community housing fund advisory board which shall be separate and apart from the community housing board. And be it further resolved that the Community Housing Fund Advisory Committee shall comply with the requirements of town law, section 64K, parens 6, close parens, shall consist of at least 7 and no more than 15 members who shall be residents of the town of Shelter Island. And be it further resolved that no member of the town boards shall serve as a member of the Community Housing Fund Advisory Board, and that the Community Housing Fund Advisory Board shall include 1 representative of the construction industry and 1 representative of the banking industry and 1 representative of the real estate industry and 3 representatives of the local housing advocacy or human service organizations. And be it further resolved that all members of the Community Housing Fund Advisory Board shall serve without compensation. And be it further resolved that all members of the Community Housing Fund Advisory Board shall serve 2-year terms and shall serve at the pleasure of the town board. Be it further resolved that the Community Housing Fund Advisory Board shall act in an advisory capacity to the town board, and as such, it shall prepare and recommend to the town board a community housing plan, which shall be reviewed, revised, and approved by the town board. Subsequently, the Community Housing Fund Advisory Board shall review and report to the town board on projects seeking funding under the Community Housing Fund law, if adopted, and shall periodically review the community housing plan and advise the board of the level of compliance with such plans. So moved.
Supervisor Silla seconds and votes aye. Councilman Brock Williams,
Aye.
Councilman Colligan,
Aye.
Councilman Lawson,
Aye.
so moved.
Be it resolved that the following persons are hereby appointed to serve in the following designated positions. Said appointments are for terms to run coterminously with the term of office of town clerk. Dorothy S. Ogar to serve as Registrar of Vital Statistics. Linda D. Cass to serve as Deputy Registrar of Vital Statistics. So moved.
Supervisor Silla seconds and votes aye. Councilman Colligan,
Aye.
Councilman Lawson,
Aye.
Councilman Ian Fowler,
Aye.
so moved.
Be resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to expend the sum of $6,702.21 from the police department's A 3120.491 contract account with Lexipol LLC at 2611 Internet Boulevard, Suite 100, Frisco, Texas, 75034, for the contract term of January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022, for the police department's annual law enforcement policy manual and daily training bulletin. So moved.
Supervisor Silva seconds and votes aye. Councilman Lawson,
Aye.
Councilman Ianfola,
Aye.
Councilman Brock Williams,
Aye.
so moved.
Be it resolved that pursuant to the authority granted by Executive Order Number 11.1, issued by the Governor of the State of New York and Shelter Island Town Board, does hereby direct the Board of Assessors of the Town of Shelter Island to grant exemptions on the 2022 assessment roll in accordance with the resolution issued by Executive Order Number 11, declaring a state disaster emergency for the entire state of New York due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Oh, is there more to that? I don't have it.
No, that's it. That's it.
Okay, so moved.
Supervisor Silva seconds and votes aye. Councilman Ianfola,
Aye.
Councilman Brock Williams,
Aye.
Councilman Colligan,
Aye.
so moved. Be it resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to expend the sum of $6,481 from the 2022 A 4540.484 EMF's Office and Miscellaneous account to the SCM Products Inc. To the miscellaneous account to SCM Products, 60 Plant Avenue, Suite 2, Hopog, New York, for the 2022 annual maintenance contract for the EMS computer program. So moved.
Second, Councilman Colligan seconds, votes aye.
Councilman Ianfola,
Aye.
Councilman Brock Williams,
Aye.
Councilman Lawson,
Aye.
so moved.
Be it resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized and directed to credit the funds received from the donation to the nutrition program in the amount of $5,000 to the 2022 nutrition program account. So moved.
Supervisor Silva seconds and votes aye. Councilman Brock Williams,
Aye.
Councilman Colligan,
Aye.
Councilman Lawson,
Aye.
so moved.
Be it resolved that the following 2021 transfers of funds are hereby approved. 2480 from the A 8160.103 seasonal to the A 8160.119 part-time account, 2000 from the A 8160.408 repairs maintenance account to the A 8160.201 recycle center roof account, 1400 from the A 8160.434 hazardous waste carting to the A 8160.423 electric account, 800 from the A 8160.434 hazardous waste carting to the A 8160.484 office and miscellaneous account, 250 from the A 8160.434 hazardous waste carting to the A 8160.497 professional fees account, 1537 from the A 8160.103 seasonal to the A 8160.127 overtime account, $636 from the A 8160.103 seasonal to the A 8160.129 D/T account, $13 from the A 1490.122 DT to the A 1490.121 overtime account, $1484 from the A 1490.479 boat maintenance to the A 1490.106 custodians account, $692 from the A 1490.499 Bridge Street restroom to the A 1490.106 custodians account, $163 from the A 5010.492 Brian's travel account to the A 5010.400 office and miscellaneous account, $802 from the DA 5130.154 DT to the DA 5140.167 overtime account, 8,900 from the DB 5110.480 MS4 account to the DB 5110.441 diesel fuel account, and 1,072 from the DB 5110.482 MS4 maintenance account to the DB 5110.441 diesel fuel account. And be it further resolved that the sum of $829.90 is hereby transferred from the 2021 A 3510.498 account, 498 account to the A 3510.484 account. So moved.
Supervisor Silva seconds and votes aye. Councilman Colligan,
Aye.
Councilman Lawson,
Aye.
Councilman Ian.
Aye.
So moved.
Be it resolved that the 2021 general claims number 2115 through 2177 in the amount of $45,978.07, and the 2021 highway claims numbers 266 through 270 in the amount of $18,631.47, and the 2021 community preservation claims numbers 27 through 28 in the amount of $8,500, and the 2022 general claims number 1 through 9 in the amount of $201,855.25 are hereby approved for payments as audited, and the supervisor and/or any town board member is hereby authorized and directed to sign the approval for the payment of the same. So moved.
Supervisor Silva, second, votes aye. Councilman Lawson,
Aye.
Councilman Ian.
Aye.
Councilman Brock Williams.
Aye.
So moved. Okay, at this time, we're going to recess the regular meeting and we're going to reconvene for the 8 public hearings on the Rams Head Inn mooring applications. Dot, can you just read the first one?
They don't have to be read this time. They've already been read a long
Oh,
time
okay.
ago. Yeah.
All right, so this is the transfer of the moorings that have been discussed since sometime in the summer. And the discussion had to do with following the code in regard to residency. And the feeling was that it was a little ambivalent in the code, how it was written in the residency, and we've been trying to address that. Since then, the applicant has become a legal resident of the island, aside from owning the business. And Bob, you want to give us a quick summation of how it? You're on mute, Bob.
The short version here is that the statute's basically broken up into 2 parts. The initial part says that anyone who resides on the island for at least 6 months is allowed a mooring permit. And it says, or any property owner, except that an organization that is a property owner needs to be a resident. The majority of the majority shareholders have to be residents. Taken as an or as opposed to an and. Basically, there's no 6-month requirement in the second part of that statute for the residency determination with regard to people who are property owners as opposed to just residences. Consequently, the board has basically decided that the 6-month part of that was essentially meant to prevent short-term renters from getting mooring permits, and wasn't to apply to property owners. Consequently, with her now being an island resident, she qualifies for the Rams Head and will qualify for a mooring permit.
Okay, and just again, we discussed this Tuesday, but just with BJ and Meg's reinforcement or re-acknowledgement. This has been an ongoing discussion about the transfer of the moorings. That didn't really seem an issue with the town board. It was more the definition of resident following, the letter of the law. So we had all agreed that we, supported the transfer of the moorings with the sale of the business. But then the question of residency came up. So now that that's settled, my feeling is we can act on these. So if anybody on the town board want to speak before we open it to the public?
I will, Jerry. As you said, this has been going on for, the better part of 6-7 months now, since July and August, or maybe even before then. The WMAC met and they discussed this, and they felt that they supported the transfer of the moorings. They wanted to make sure, though, that the mooring application was separate from the dock application, and which it is. So we're just acting here strictly on the moorings themselves, the 8 moorings themselves, and basically we'll as a town board move forward with looking at at the new dock separately if there's a new application for that dock.
Okay, I think one of the concerns certainly from a good portion of the public and also from the town board is that, we're seeing a lot of transfers of sales of businesses on the island. And and it's not the local mom and pops anymore. It's semi-big business buying up Shelter Island. So I think one of the things we're gonna have to address at a pretty immediate work session is the concept of the commercial moorings. And rather than them being just, every 3 years, renewed, I think maybe we should set up an evaluation process every 3 years to look at them. And while we're doing that, also set up some new criteria for commercial moorings that we want to make sure that, they're just like a business or a rental has to be owner occupied. Maybe the moorings have to be owner occupied. In other words, the business has to run it. They can't contract it out, that type of thing. I think there's a lot of things that we haven't even thought about, with the way things are changing on Shelter Island, that the potential for, huge changes that, again, we haven't even thought about are out there. So I think we need to walk slow. But again, on this one, this has been before us. It's been discussed. The transfer is the transfer, but I think going forward, we need to put some serious discussion into the future of the commercial mooring fields and how we're going to, legislate them.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more, Jerry. I think you've made some good points there because these are new waters for all of us, and this is happening right before our very eyes. So we need to make sure that we dot the i's and cross the t's as we move forward with these mooring applications. There is a potential here for major changes, and I think people basically don't have a problem with the transfer of them as long as they remain traditionally as moorings the way they would been used in the past. I think that's the guarantee people are looking for. They're looking for these moorings to be used in very similar fashions to the way they were used in the past.
Jim, when you say that, what would be an alternative use in this?
Well, I'm thinking, contracting it out to an outside source.
Correct.
And maybe, doing, I don't know, I'm not a boater, so I don't know what the options are, BJ, but, again, it's been kind of benign the way, it's been Shelter Island. And, things are changing everywhere. So I don't want to take a chance that, the things are happening out there that we're not even aware of that could change the whole, makeup of Deering Harbor or Cockles Harbor.
But BJ, traditionally, if somebody's staying at the inn for 3 days and they bring their boat, they're coming to dinner that night and they're putting their boat on that mooring. But, sightseeing boats or commercial, fishing boats or tour boats or things of that nature have not been traditionally used for that purpose on those kinds of moorings. So that's the kind of thing we're talking about. I think that's the guarantee that, people are looking for, that we understand it's an important part of the business. I think the new owner explained to the town board 6 months ago that, if you get 8 people coming in with their boats for 2 sittings and 3 or 4 people coming off each one of those boats, that's 32 people per sitting. You could bring in 50 or 60 people that night for dinner. They come and they go. Somebody comes in early, somebody comes in a little bit later. So those are the kinds of things that more traditional ways of those moorings have been used.
Yeah.
Anybody else
Well,
on the town board? BJ, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, acting on this today doesn't answer Jim's desire for a reassurance.
I think one kind of has nothing to do with the other. I think we need to
Okay.
look at the commercial moorings as a whole and decide how we're gonna address them. And, we can't penalize an applicant that's been before us for 6 or 7 months because now we're deciding to look into something else. I mean,
Agreed.
she'll be, she'll have to, whatever changes we make, any moorings will be part of that. It's not like she's gonna, grandfathered and, she skipped, she beats us.
Right,
But,
Right.
if we change the rule, we change the rule.
yeah.
Any other town board members, Meg, Amber?
I'm comfortable granting these, given our current code. they're classified as commercial moorings. She's met the requirements. If we do something, it shouldn't be just these 8 moorings that we're going to evaluate. We should be evaluating all commercial moorings.
Great. I agree.
Meg?
I do want to reevaluate the commercial mooring code. I would be okay acting on these, but I do want to keep that in mind.
Yep.
To review the code.
Okay, we'll open it up to, Bob, did you have anything before we open it to the public? Anything you want to touch base on? You're on mute, Bob. You just muted you.
I think that pretty much represents what the board had, I'd spoken to each board member about individually, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, we'll open it up to the public. Yep, I see on the top there.
Kim
Mr.
Bonstrom.
Bonstrom, yep. You have to unmute yourself, Kim. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. I want to confirm that the board members received my letter of today.
I got a letter at 4:28 from Pam Demarest that had an attachment from you on it.
Yeah, no, I sent one at 3:30 today.
To
No,
be honest, we were in meetings all the afternoon. I didn't see it if we got it.
Yeah,
I did
well,
not. I was in a meeting.
it's a bit premature to vote on this if you haven't even read the submissions.
Well, if we get submissions an hour before the meeting, I think that's kind of pushing the envelope.
Yeah, except pushing the envelope, Jerry, is putting this on the agenda at 2:00 in the afternoon.
This is a recess meeting that's on the agenda every meet. It's not, I knew this was going to come up, that, we have to tell the public we're going to do this. This is a meeting that was recessed. We don't have to announce that we're going to open it. We every week, every town board meeting, we go over any recess meetings. Are we going to act on anything?
Hey, Jerry.
It's not a surprise.
Jerry, it is a surprise because on Tuesday, Pam Demarest asked specifically whether this was going to be on today's agenda. And she was specifically told no. And then you put it on the agenda at 2:00.
I don't know that we said no. I don't.
Well, I watched the video. There's a record of these proceedings, Jerry.
I'll have to watch it because I thought we said we were going to talk about it tonight, quite honestly.
You did not. And I would appreciate the members of the board reviewing my submissions.
Kim, I
Because
did
of-
not receive your submission. I just checked my email. I never received it.
How about
Yeah, but
Dottie?
I did not receive it either. I just checked.
How about Dottie?
Got Pam's. I didn't get yours.
I have Pam's.
Well, let me just jump back in because what I point out is that the remaining issue is not limited to Amy Carter's residential status. We've raised a number of issues about her expansion of non-conforming use. We've had multiple enormous motor yachts rafted at the town dock or the dock that's on the town landing. We've had multiple large motor yachts rafted on those 8 moorings. We have an unlicensed launch that is not only servicing those moorings, but is taking people far afield. These have all been documented to the town board. There has been no enforcement whatsoever. And now today you put the thing on at 2:00 on the agenda, despite the specific representations on Tuesday. And specifically, and most importantly, the new members of the town board need to educate themselves about these serious issues. Meg Larson in particular. I know that BJ has probably been extensively briefed by the Eklunds.
Well, I don't think you need to go there. I think I've had extensive conversations with both Meg and BJ, And again, I have to go back and
That's
look at
you,
that,
Jerry.
but Kim,
you.
excuse me. I specifically remember doing a straw poll Tuesday, asking them, if we discuss this Friday, is this where we all are on this?
Oh, I
And
saw the
everyone
straw
said,
poll.
it had to do with residency. The concept of the transfer was already agreed upon. It was if the applicant qualified based on residency.
Jerry, when you told the new members on Friday or on Tuesday that the sole issue was residency,
So I spoke to him long before Tuesday about it.
this is a public hearing, pal. You didn't talk to me, you didn't talk to the public, and resident is not the sole issue.
As
What
far as
the-
the town board was concerned, that was the only issue. We were ready to vote on it, and that's what came up. Councilman Brock Williams brought up the fact that she was uncomfortable that we were discussing the residency that didn't meet the requirement specifically in the code, the way we saw it. So that's the only reason we held that up. Had
No,
nothing to do with
that's
anything.
not true.
That's the only reason we held up the
That
approval.
is not true.
It is
my
true.
friend. No, it's not. This is all a matter of public record.
Well, then you'll have to go back and look at them because that's that.
No, you have to look at it.
I would ask the town board, am I missing something here?
Yeah, how about Councilperson Culligan? Raised on Tuesday again, the concern about expansion of non-conforming use. He did it again today. That's the issue that I'm raising again. I raised it August 20th of last year. I raised it in my letter today, and I would appreciate you taking the time to review it, because you'll get a little bit of competent legal advice if you do so.
Any comment from the town board?
I'm not sure I see this as an expansion of use because there's been bigger boats there or boats have rafted there for a long time.
No, they haven't.
Yes,
I-
they have.
I have
Yes,
lived,
they have.
hey, I have lived here for 23 years.
I've
My
lived
boat
here
was-
longer. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. I'm
My
just saying that
boat
I
was
have seen
moored there.
rafted boats there. I have a mooring right next to this mooring field. And I've seen boats rafted there summer after summer. I mean,
How
it
about
has
how about on the
happened.
dock? How about on the
But
dock?
also, I also want to say, when you have a waterfront, well, the dock is not an issue, is it?
It
The
is.
dock is
No,
not
it's
an issue.
Not in this.
It
We're
is.
not discussing the dock.
Yeah,
we're
you've never
discussing
discussed
the
it. It's been
moorings.
13 years you haven't discussed it.
We're discussing the moorings.
And
This
they've
is a
been
public hearing
using the town,
about the moorings.
they have been using the town landing to access.
I'm not
these moorings
discussing that
illegally.
today. If you don't want to stay on topic, dude, I can't help.
All right.
It is
does
on
anybody
top.
else-
Jerry?
all right, yeah,
Jerry,
yeah.
Bob
go ahead.
Cohn. Bob Cohn, I want to agree with what Jerry said a moment ago, and what BJ has recognized, and that is that these moorings have always been a completely separate issue from the dock. Now, there are lots of controversy about that dock, et cetera. There are concerns about the use of the dock, a new dock, all that. But the moorings were always separate. The moorings have been used by the Rams Head Inn for what it is, 20 years. And the only issue, as Jerry had said, was the concern that Amber Brock Williams had about the definition of residency to make sure the board is complying with the code. Now that's no longer an issue. As Jerry said, the moorings are completely divorced from these other issues. The other issues are important, Kim. I shouldn't address Kim, but the town board, those issues are important. They need to be debated, but it's completely separate from the moorings. I've attended these meetings. I was there over the summer watching all of this stuff, and the two shouldn't be conflated. The moorings should go forward. And if you think about the business has to make plans, they have to hire people for the spring. And these kinds of decisions need to be made sooner rather than later. Any delay, I think, is going to hurt the business. It's going to hurt the people on Ram Island. The Ram Island Association has spoken about the docks and all things in the past, but they're not speaking for everyone on the Rams. There are a lot of people here who enjoy that facility, and they only can stay open during the winter and keep those employees employed if they can have a business during the summer. If those moorings go, the business cannot afford to go forward. It changes what happened, that what their use was in the past. Sorry, I went too long, but that's my feeling.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, I just wanted to, it's Bill Garrity. They are connected, the docks and the moorings in that under 90-5R, there are a number of considerations that have to be made before you approve a transfer of commercial moorings from one business to another. And one of those considerations is the access points to the moorings. And at the time that the WMAC reviewed this, there was a different understanding of what the dock situation was as opposed to what it is today. So I just wanted to point that out. That's 90-5R11. The other thing I wanted to ask is who is the, what's the name on the mooring application?
When is the Rams? Let me see.
The daughter.
Ram's Head Inn.
Rams Head Inn LLC.
And who's the owner of the property next door that was just purchased?
Andrea Carter.
So the applicant and the
The applicant is Rams Head Inn LLC, Andrea Carter has petitioned the town.
And have we looked at has she provided us with documentation regarding her LLC to certify the ownership of the LLC?
I don't know, Dodd, is that something you require?
It's something we need to require.
Bob?
That could be argued as something we need to require, but it's not something we're statutorily required at this point. That said, I'm sure she'd be happy, she could provide it to us if we asked.
Ask.
Anybody else? Before we go for seconds, anybody else first one? Pam?
So yes, since my name was mentioned in this meeting, I will say, Mr. Supervisor, you did say that this discussion of these moorings was probably not going to be on the agenda for today. Because of what has preceded everything coming up to this. I am absolutely astonished that given new board membership, you can all agree within like 4 days of what to do about these mooring applications, but you couldn't agree within 5 months.
Well, just to answer that, let me answer that before you keep going. I've met with BJ and Meg since the day after the election and have been getting up to speed on town business. So it's not like we've had 2 weeks to discuss this.
Okay, so in the letter that I got out very late, because of course I wasn't expecting this to be on the agenda for today. And I apologize, and Ms. Larson, if you need a copy of my letter, I'll be happy to send it to you. I'm sorry that didn't come through. You know, the part of this is that the agenda really was only posted within 4 hours, so I do have issue with that. And I'm going to refer to the supervisor's comments of October 1st, where he said that they were not going to move forward on reconvening this public hearing on these moorings until the definition of resident had been satisfied, settled, whatever, however that's going. That hasn't happened.
Can I answer that? Can I answer that one before you go on?
There has been no change since, may I just finish? There has been no change since Ms. Carter put in her first application to her status of residency at the time of application, mind you, to any kind of legislative changes, any kind of concerns that Councilwoman Williams has brought up, Councilman Colligan has brought up, the supervisor yourself has brought up. Nothing has changed. So I don't really understand how you folks feel like you can act on these mooring applications within 5 days of appointing a new town board.
I don't think the 5 days has anything to do with it as long as they're brought up to speed. I would say that when we said we would wait till we had the definitions of residents in place, I asked the town board if we can piecemeal that code and do the residency. And the discussion was, no, we need to do it all at once. So I'm not going to wait another 3 months till we get all the code in place before we approve this application. The town attorney looked at it and decided that since Ms. Carter is now officially a resident, she qualifies.
The thing that
I
had
dare
changed,
say I would challenge her residency status right now. And I know that from a personal point of view, which I'd rather not discuss in public meeting right now. But I would like that verified, that in fact, she did in fact buy Jim Bennett's property and is the owner of that property. I want that verified before anything goes forward, because I do have evidence that that may not in fact be the case. And again, I will not disclose that publicly. If you all want to get in touch with me and ask me
You just
about
did.
that from the board,
just
I
did
will
disclose
certainly
it
give you,
publicly.
I certainly will give you the evidence that I have on that going forward.
Amber,
I
did you
would
have
rather not
something?
discuss it now.
no, I was just stating that what had changed for me in making a decision for today is just that Code Section 90-4 under definition of resident, or in the case of an organization where the majority of owners or beneficiaries are residents. So with her becoming a resident, that's how I felt comfortable moving forward with this.
That's, excuse me, that's one of the reasons why I asked if we had documentation on her LLC to determine whether she is in fact 50% or majority owner of the LLC. That's one of the reasons why we should have that paperwork.
Well,
Shimi.
hi, excuse me. Excuse me if I've interrupted. This is Andrea Carter, and I'm sitting in the former Jim Bennett house right now. I am the owner of the property, so I don't know what other rumor there may be, but I'd sure like to see what we're all talking about. I would be most happy to provide proof of that, and proof that I'm 100% owner of this property, as well as 100% owner of the LLC that is 100% owner of Ram's Head Inn. I would be happy to do that, although that hasn't been requested of anybody else who apparently has applied for many different things in any of these meetings that I've attended over the many number of months I've been waiting to be heard and approved for these mooring balls transfer. I thank you for your time and your attention today, and I do hope we can move forward.
That documentation was requested and required of the Daniel Lord Moorings, which was also an LLC, and they provided it. It should be provided here.
I think it was provided in the same effect that Andrea Carter was named as the principal of the LLC. And that's
Oh,
exactly
no. Oh, no. There was a legal affidavit demanded and provided. And Bill Garrity will confirm that.
Any other comments?
Yeah, Jerry, the issue on Daniel Lord was not, was the fact that they were basically refusing to provide the name of someone to be a responsible for the mooring from the LLC. So we required them to do that by affidavit. It was slightly different. This case,
Let's do the same thing here.
Actually disclosed she was the owner, so that's why she wasn't. There wasn't an issue as to who it was.
Well,
You know, it's curious because we were also told by Ms. Carter that she purchased the dock from the Eklunds and that she had title insurance to that effect. And we asked her to produce it, and she didn't. And now it turns out that it was not true. She never purchased it. There was never title insurance.
That has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, though.
No, we're talking about documentation, Jerry. The need for documentation, trust but verify.
So I would say if we go forward with this and pass it, we will base it on approval based on documentation that Ms. Carter is a resident and is the principal of the LLC. How's that?
No, that's not sufficient.
Well, I'm not asking you. I'm asking the town board.
Well, you just said, how is that? I'm answering your question. You and I are having a dialogue. That's
No, I'm
not
talking to the
sufficient.
town board at this point. It's not a dialogue right now. It's a public
This is,
hearing.
this is the
It's a public hearing
session.
and you've spoken 3 times now, Kim. It's time to either move on or close the hearing.
Well, can I continue?
You
Because
can
haven't
finish.
read
You can summarize whatever you want to say.
Well, I did that in a letter which you're refusing to review, but
Because we didn't get it.
Get it.
you want me to resend it?
I'm not going to read it right now. No, you can resend. Of course, I want you to resend it, but I'm not going to read it at 5:15.
Hey, you noticed this thing at 2 o'clock. When were you going to read it? Anyways, let me just summarize what's in the letter. The other thing that the town board has not done yet, which is statutorily required to do, Jerry, is to consider the criteria that's in mooring law, section 90-5R. There are.
We did, Kim, and we went through this.
No.
It's not mandatory criteria. It's recommended criteria, and we went through it all. We did go
You
through.
did not.
this.
You did
Yes,
not.
we did.
No, you did not. You pronounced that all 11 criteria were satisfied. You
No, I
did.
didn't say all 11. I said the majority
Said
were.
that. Never said
Okay.
I never said all were.
And then Pam Demarest waded in and she enumerated the most important ones that were not satisfied.
The primary ones that weren't satisfied were having a shower for the people using the moorings.
What about a dinghy dock?
It doesn't have to be a dinghy dock. They can come to the beach if we don't let them use the dock.
What about a launch?
What about launch?
Well, that's in the criteria, Jerry.
It's a suggested criteria. It doesn't have to be it's not mandatory.
All right, so you tell me what criteria you're relying on.
Number one, they're a waterfront business. Number 2, there's a pump out station in Cockles Harbor.
At Cockles Marina.
In Cockles Harbor, just like there is in Deering Harbor. There's one in Deering Harbor for the
There's
3
one in
commercial
Greenport
moorings.
too, Jerry. There's
one pump out in Deering Harbor for the 3 commercial mooring fields there. Has to be accessible to a pump out. Doesn't have to, each one have to have their own pump out, Kim.
What is it, 2 miles away?
Cockles Harbor Marina from
Yeah,
Ram's
yeah.
Head Inn.
Yeah.
If that's 2 miles, I'd be pretty amazed.
Well, I was issued a dinghy permit on the first causeway this year. And so I wrote it and I measured it and it's 2 miles.
It's still in the harbor.
Yeah, so is my dinghy, but it's 2
Well, then
miles.
how far is it from the Ram's Head mooring field to Real Point?
I'd say comparable distance.
I'd say it's a lot more than 2 miles.
What's your point?
Because to get out of Cockles Harbor, they got to go past the ramp. They have to go past the pump out. So it's not like they're going out of their way to get pumped out.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the ability to pump out is in Cockles Harbor. Period. Amen. End of discussion.
Oh, okay. Can I continue?
I guess.
Okay. What about the town code provision that says that you cannot service commercial moorings from a private residence? And that appears to be the current plan of Ms. Carter.
No, it does not at all. The Ram's Head Inn is the owner of the moorings. The Ram's Head Inn maintains the moorings. Miss Carter happens to be a resident because she bought a private residency.
Not talking about
My
residence.
feeling is she was a resident because she's a property owner, but we're passing on that for now.
Right, you were wrong about that too, but
Oh, I'm not wrong about that, but that's different.
what is the present plan for servicing those moorings, which is something that the Eklunds never did? Where is that launch going to drop off people? Is it going to be at Jim Bennett's dock, which is a private resident? Are you going to continue to permit her to use rent-free a town landing for that purpose? Let me just sum up this way. The big issue here, Jerry, is that there is no enforcement of the code on the Ram Islands. There's no enforcement of the noise ordinance. There's no enforcement of the dark sky legislation. that place looks like a Costco parking lot now. There's no enforcement of, town ownership, usurping a town landing, for crying out loud. You had 2 years, your last term, to rectify that.
And we
No
have.
action taken whatsoever. When is that?
Well,
gonna be?
that's 100% wrong. I don't know why you're even saying that. The town,
We're also being very far afield.
we've told Ms. Carter that
Boring.
that dock is going, it's not hers, it's over, and period, amen.
Was there a resolution passed? Because everything else is just chat.
Well,
Well, it is.
don't say, okay, all right. All right, I'm gonna end your, and I'm gonna end your discussion now.
Why not?
I think you've touched it all.
Why not?
Anybody else? Tom? You have to go unmute yourself first, Tom.
Now?
Yep.
Oh, good. There's an elephant in this room that hasn't been discussed. You've been talking about details of the law and the structure and so forth. But the main problem with this plan, it is that it is profoundly disruptive of the peaceful environment of Cockles Harbor. What she is proposing will fill Cockles Harbor with boats, with people. It will be noisy. It will be overrun. And I can tell you that the people, that 90% of the owners of Cockles on the Ram Islands are against this. This was presented at the beginning of the summer, and it was an overwhelming rejection of this. It is going to ruin the pleasure and enjoyment of this place.
Tom, I can appreciate your concern. And I think this is why, when I mentioned earlier that we need to address the whole concept of commercial moorings going forward. But and if we need to put restrictions on them, we will. But I think this is different than that. This is an application that's been before us, and it's not right to hold it up because we're afraid of what might happen in the future.
No,
And Jerry, I'd like to respond to that.
Wait, let Tom finish, please.
I realize that, Jerry, that you're talking details of the law here, but I'm looking at a larger picture. I'm looking at what this place will actually mean to the community, the immediate community on the Rams. And it is going to be disastrous. It's going to be overrun. It's going to be noisy. It already is that. On December 28th, the day right smack in between Christmas and New Year's, what was that? I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. I heard at 11 o'clock in the evening, I heard a lot of noise coming from the facility, from the building. So I went over and got out of my car and looked over the bushes. I did not make myself known. There were probably 20, maybe 30 people there, very noisy, having a wonderful time, but making a lot of noise. And and it was quite prominent and in the middle of the night. So by the time I left, it was midnight, and I went right away down to the police station because I thought it would be something that the police should know about. And I can't remember his name. It was McCurdy or something like that. But I had a discussion with him, and I said that this was really noisy and it was really intrusive. And what about the noise ordinance? He said to me, "There is no noise ordinance on Shelter Island." I said, "Really?" I couldn't believe it. I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yes." Then the next thing he said to me, "Tom, listen, if this ever happens again, what you should do is go in and talk to the people and ask them politely," he actually used that word, "to not make so much noise." That's so, and that's ridiculous. It's really obscene that what this is going to be doing to the local environment And I know you're talking about the details of the law. I recognize how important they are, but you are missing the most important issue here. You are ruining, this is going to ruin the pleasant enjoyment of that area.
Tom, I don't think, I think I understand, I truly understand your concern, but I think if anything, that's our biggest concern as a town board, is that we try to protect the beauty of Shelter Island, the serenity of it, because we know that things are changing. So we're aware of exactly what you're saying, and we're looking to see how we can, number one, work with all the business owners, and number two, if needed, put legislation in to protect the rest of the island.
I think you got it reversed. The business owners have to work with us. They have to be making businesses that don't disrupt the island. And that's what this is. This is a profound disruption of the peaceful enjoyment of Shelter Island. It's obscene.
I understand 100% where you're coming from, but the reality is Shelter Island is changing, and people are spending tenfold what they used to spend on houses, and now they're spending tenfold what they used to spend on businesses. And it's not, it's not mom and pop anymore. So we're very aware of that, and the nature of the businesses are going to change. And it's really not the responsibility of the business owner to work with us. It's the responsibility of the town to try to get the business owners to work with us.
You're
Jerry?
missing my point. You haven't answered my point. This is going to be so disruptive. It's going to ruin the peaceful enjoyment of that area, and you are allowing that to happen.
Well, we're allowing,
Jerry,
Tom, we're allowing the 8 moorings that have been there for 20 plus years to continue to be there.
That's, but they're not abusive. Those moorings, the use of
And we
those,
don't know that they're going to be. I mean, you're making a very big assumption that they're going to be abusive.
I already know they are.
Jerry, if I
I've
may.
already experienced one gathering in the summertime when there were at least 100 people on that property. The tennis court has been, I understand is what it was, has been covered over. It is now a dance floor. There is a permanent installation on the edge of that where the materials for the food and service of that area, it's Sunset Beach, right smack in my backyard and the backyard of all of the people on the Rams. It's obscene. And how can you allow that to happen? And I hope the same thing doesn't happen, by the way, to the main in the lot where the Cheekwood is, because I'm afraid that area is also going to get overrun. And you're saying things are changing. It's a new life. Well, it's obscene what you're doing.
What would be your option, Tom? To shut down the business, telling you're only allowed to do this?
Let the business continue as it has been.
Well, obviously, to pay the prices they have to pay today to buy it, to make the note and to make a living, they have to expand the business. I mean, that's reality.
She's not making a living there. If she's making a living there, and I don't care whether or not she makes a living. How about my living? How about my appreciation of where I live? And how about the rest of the people? You were asking for a huge response, a huge negative response from the people on the Rams. I can guarantee you that.
Michael Shotkin? You have to unmute yourself, Michael. You have to unmute yourself.
I really don't have any skin in the game here, but I will make a few observations. One is that I think it is completely expected and fair and lawful for an existing non-conforming use to continue to operate in the same manner. I don't think it can expand its function as a non-conforming use. And I think the conversation that we started with was with regard to moorings. And the one aspect of an expansion of use of the moorings would be something that, excuse me, I don't recall which gentleman brought this up, was the concept of rafting. And personally, I have never seen rafting take place any place on Shelter Island. My experience is with Cockles Harbor, and it's with Deering Harbor. I know that the moorings are not spaced and designed for rafting, and I would distinguish tenders and dinghies as not being rafting. If that's not within the code, it seems like you could move forward on this particular application with the provision that the moorings are single occupancy moorings. And the only exception to that is what is familiar to boaters is that a dinghy or dinghies can quote unquote, I'll use the term moor, but a comparable vessel can't pull up and occupy 2 or 3, which is what is commonly called rafting. That's not particularly safe or customary on the island and would represent an expanded use.
Oh, this is Andrea Carter, and I would wholeheartedly agree with that. Thank you so much.
I too support those 2 suggestions. Single occupancy moorings and disallowing, large boats from taking up, 2 or 3 moorings. The owner agrees with that. I think it should be written into the agreement.
Thank you.
The current, it's Bill Garrity, regular, chapter 90-9. It's under E1, simultaneous occupancy of a mooring by more than one vessel and its tender is prohibited for a period of more than 3 hours. It's in the code. It's enforced on moorings, but not in the transient mooring areas. But I just throw that out. The points that have been made as far as review of commercial mooring usage is definitely something that should be looked into.
Thank you.
Okay, Chair, I just want,
Anybody that
Jerry-
hasn't spoken yet?
I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead. No, nobody.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to respond to Tom Roush's statement earlier regarding the Ram Island Association meeting. He is conflating the dock with the mooring again. A lot of his concerns had to do with launches going out to the anchorage getting too crowded, the use of the dock, the ownership of the dock, who owned the ownership. Nobody's expressed any concern whatsoever that the 8 moorings that the Eklunds had been using for the Ram Island Inn for many, many years would be transferred to the current same kind of use. Nobody had a concern about the moorings. It's a separate issue. Tom is raising some potentially legitimate concerns, non-conforming use expansion, overuse of the anchorage, things like that. But those all have to concern perhaps future plans for the dock. The current dock is going to go away apparently, but that is a separate issue. I'm more concerned about the business being able to operate the way it has been operating so that it can sustain the employees that are there. And believe me, there are a lot of people on Ram Island, both Little Ram and Big Ram, who really appreciate what Andrea Carty has done to that place to provide a place for us to go, particularly at this time of year.
Tom, you're on mute. You're on mute, Tom. You're still on mute. You're still on mute, Tom.
Okay, good. Sorry, I'm not familiar with with a lot of these details here. What we just heard was a completely ignoring what I'm trying to say is that this is an obscene use of the area. It is going to be noisy. The people are not liking it. They're going to resist this mightily, I tell you. And you're talking about details of structures, of regulations and so forth. And of course they're important and I understand that, but what's the end point? What's the end point? What are we trying to achieve? We're trying to achieve a pleasant place to live, where people respect each other, where they don't intrude, where noises are not made so late at night, where the police do know that there is a noise ordinance. I had a party years ago and the police showed up at midnight. It was my 70th birthday party. And the police showed up and said, it's time to close it down. I closed it down. I was sad, but I realized it had to be done. And this particular situation, the party's going to go on and it's not going to end. And you are making it available to have a very disruptive use of the air. What are all these regulations for? Right? I mean, you're talking about details of regulations. What are they all about? It's to have a pleasant enjoyment of Shelter Island. And this particular installation is going to ruin that.
Jerry, I think we need to refocus things on the transfer of the 8 moorings. We're getting far afield to noise ordinances and docks and
Right.
zoning code. And really, we should be discussing the moorings transfer.
Okay, anybody that hasn't been heard? Let me see if there's anybody on the second. Amber, you looking at the second part of the screen?
No, I didn't realize we'd grown to 2
Yeah, I
screens.
just noticed it myself. Okay, if there's no other comments, I'm gonna close it. Kim, make it quick because we've heard from you 3 or 4 times already.
Yeah, I'd just like to encourage the new members of the board to read my submissions, both from August 20th of last year and today's, because it's a lot more complicated than Supervisor Siller has informed you. And the second thing I'd say is that, Jerry, I'm very disturbed at this suggestion that these new businesses, these new business owners that overpay for the property are going to be permitted to expand non-conforming use.
I never said that.
You said precisely that.
No, I did not say that. I didn't say that. I didn't
Let's go
think
to-
it. I
let's
said
go to the
we
videotape.
need to work with the new owners to make sure they keep within the Shelter Island way of life, as long as and make sure they can make a living at the same time.
Well, it's on videotape, Jerry.
I know everything I say is on videotape, but apparently what I say and what you hear are 2 different things. So I think at this point, we're going to close the hearing.
What?
I'm going to close the hearing.
I'm sorry, Mr. Supervisor, may I just say one thing? Because I really would like us to get back to the focus of the hearing at hand, which are the 8 mooring applications by Ms. Carter wanting to continue the business as the Eklunds have had the pleasure of doing over the past few years. And again, I will say that I have no problem with that being able to happen, except that obviously the code still hasn't had the remediations done to it that would allow it to happen. And I think that you're just walking into murky waters with that and really just need to clean that up. And as I said on Tuesday, there are other properties that are involved with this that, with Jack's Marine and everything else happening. I really think that maybe it's just time not to act on this today, but again, review, see Mr. Bonstrom's letter that he says that some of you have not received. Ms. Larson has said she did not receive my letter of today. I mean, this has been reconvened enough times that reconvening it one more time to make sure that things are done the way that everyone is comfortable with, I think is appropriate. And
All right, thank you.
and that's what I'll say. Thank you.
And just to finish this now, I'm going to say, contrary to popular belief, I'm one of 5 votes. So I'm going to put it up to the town board to decide what they want to do. I make a motion, we close this hearing. Do I have a second? Do I have a second to close the hearing?
BJ, you're
Everybody's muted.
muted.
I was just checking the second screen to see if anybody had their hand up to close the meeting, Both Michael and Bob, you've spoken already. Would it be quick?
Yeah, you both have your hands up.
Yeah.
No, those are old.
I was gonna
Those
say, is
are
that
old?
from
Yeah.
before?
Okay, then yes, I second it.
And Councilman Williams,
Yes.
Councilman Lawson,
Yes.
Councilman Colligan.
Yes, and I do want to clarify, I thought the most important part of this discussion that went on for a better part of an hour was Michael Shatkin's comments about not expanding the non-conforming use. and the single occupancy on each mooring and disallowing the practice of rafting. I would, if we are going to take a vote on this today, I would like both of those things to appear in writing in the for the vote.
I don't know that we can do that, Jim. I think we have to discuss those as involving all commercial moorings going forward. I don't think we can put
It was just-
stipulations on this one.
Didn't we just say that it's in the code already, right?
We'll pick that
Mr.
up.
Garrity,
Yes.
Mr. Garrity, I think you said that it's already in the code, no rafting,
Yes.
right? Okay,
And maybe we need to meet with the police chief and the bay constables and make sure we're all on the same page with some of these things.
As long as they exist, I have no problem with it, but I want to make sure that these moorings and Andrea, who just had spoken, concurred with both of those findings. And I would just like that as an understanding. We can get that in writing, whether it's in the code or not in the code. I think it's important.
Okay, we're going to reconvene the hearing on the Coldest Wetlands application. Jim, do you have anything from?
Yeah, the CAC met on December 13th, looked at the application, approved it 5-0 with one caveat: all well water piping systems need to be out of the wetland area. If that's the case, they were willing to approve it 5-0. That was the report.
Wait, what does that mean? The well has to be out of it, or the?
I'm reading the minutes from Mr. Johansson and from Mark Capolino. All well water piping systems must be out of the wetlands area. So anything that involves they just don't want that in there. They want that moved, and it can be moved out. They felt satisfactorily out of the wetlands area.
Okay, Howard, you have to unmute yourself, Howard.
Okay, what Jim is saying is correct. That was what we said at the meeting. And since then, I have to commend Rob Herman, because he submitted a site plan showing all of the new well and the new IA system being out of the wetlands area. And he also included the vegetative buffer. So I think he's done a great job with that site, and I have no objections to it.
Okay,
Thank you, Rob.
and that was 5-0. You said that vote from the
Yes.
CAC?
Yes.
Okay. Anything from the planning board? No?
I am looking to see, since this has been outstanding.
I think they did their review a month ago. Michael was on it. Did we submit that? Was that done?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That was a couple sessions back.
All right, Rob, I'll ask you what the planning board say.
Thanks, Jerry. Now, so just as a quick recap, so we had at the first hearing, the planning board had an opportunity to review the application, and they were supportive of the application based on a condition that the vegetative buffer be added adjacent to the top of the embankment, and also in the northwest corner of the property where there's a little bit of a swale, and they had asked for at least 150 square feet. And that's kind of where we left off at the last hearing, because the CAC had not had a chance yet to meet on the originally submitted application. And so shortly after the hearing, we did prepare, MPLA prepared, sorry to clarify, Marshall Pates, a landscape architecture, who's the landscape design architect for the project, prepared an updated site plan showing that buffer on a new site plan, which we submitted, and that was the plan that the CAC had an opportunity to review. So basically, the planning board issued some recommendations. We met those recommendations, passed it along to the CAC. The CAC reviewed that plan, And just in the way of specifics, you have that plan that we had sent over that showed a total 815 square foot existing lawn area that would be vegetated with native plantings, and we accompanied that with a native plantings plan. We showed 190 square feet in that corner, so we exceeded what the planning board had asked. So together with the 5-foot buffer along the top of the embankment, it's about 815 square feet. And then, as Howard mentioned, sort of separate from this application, there was a health department permit issued for the IA sanitary system and well, which are in this case, I mean, I don't think there's any code prohibition against a well being in the regulated area. In fact, I'm not sure a well even requires a permit in the regulated area, but be that as it may, in this case, all of that material is in fact located more than 100 feet. And as Howard indicated, we submitted a copy of that health department approved site plan. So I think we have met from those, from the site plan revision and the additional submission, we've met all of the requests and stipulated conditions, both of the planning board and the CAC. And of course, we talked at length with the town board about the project at the prior hearing, and the fact that, you know, the fact that there is some construction going on here within the regulated area that requires your approval carries along with that the opportunity for the board to require this kind of environmental mitigation adjacent to the wetland and increase the area of vegetated plantings within the 75-foot vegetated buffer, which has been, you know, historically cleared, pre-existing clearing. So I think it's a good application. I think we've met everybody's requests, but of course, if the board has any additional questions or comments, we're certainly happy to answer them.
Jerry, I did find the conclusion from the planning board. You want me to read it?
Yeah, please.
They recommend approval of this application with the following recommendations. Though the existing driveway may be legally maintained as it predates the wetlands code, we propose that the asphalt driveway be brought into conformance with 133-12F6A by either replacing it with a permeable driveway or installing stormwater collection and recharge, considering its location in the near shore overlay. We recommend the existing planting buffer be enhanced with additional plantings to stabilize the slope, and that the northeast corner of the property be developed as a naturally planted buffer area of 150 square feet or greater as required to stabilize and filter existing runoff. Improvements and expansion of the existing planting buffer should be designed by a registered landscape architect or landscape designer and should include plant materials selected from the Shelter Islands approved listing of plant materials.
Amber reminds me that on that updated site plan, the landscape architect did also include the drywall and drainage details for the driveway as well.
Okay. Dottie, I don't think we prepared this one to adopt, but I think we can probably do a special meeting on Tuesday. You're on mute, Dot.
We don't usually adopt a wetlands
Oh, okay.
right at the same night. It usually goes the second time around. Okay.
Well, this what we reconvene this, so that's what I'm saying. Maybe we
Yes,
should-
right.
so maybe we can do a special meeting Tuesday if we have to. Okay. Okay.
We'd love that.
Okay. Any other comments on this one? Questions?
Other than the comment of Rob Herman, it's great to work with you. You know, it's very accommodating and listen carefully and very thoughtful, and get a strong feeling that that you take these things very seriously. And I appreciate that as a member of several of these committees.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate that.
Michael Shotkin, did you want to say something? You have to unmute yourself, Mike. You have to unmute yourself. Stop talking and unmute yourself.
I would like to echo those same comments. It was an exemplary response, but I also think it was something to be observed and duplicated with regard to other wetlands application, in that we achieved restoration of the wetlands buffer specific to some problematic conditions. And that's not always the direction in which the planning board has gone in the past. We have sought other types of mitigation measures. And it's good to, from my standpoint, I guess characterize myself as a bit of an environmentalist. It's good to see mitigation measures that include restoration of the Shelter Islands wetlands buffer, because the nearshore overlay, very, very clearly laid out a 75-foot buffer area. And now we're seeing a redevelopment of many properties surrounding in the nearshore overlay. And it seems to me, it's very, very plausible that we use that same set of criteria, that there should be a 75-foot buffer in the cases where there is not one. We selectively ask for mitigation measures that improve the buffer condition. And hopefully, if that sort of policy or approach is adopted, we will end with a much better perimeter condition and much better environmental conditions with regard to the tidal wetlands.
Okay, anybody else? Thank you, Mike. Okay, we're going to close that hearing and we're going to reconvene the town board meeting.
Thanks for hearing us.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Rob.
Good night.
Okay.
That should be it, Jerry.
Yep. I'm just gonna, all right, I'm gonna offer the resolution, whereas Ram's Head Inn LLC, Andrea Carter has petitioned the town of Shelter Island for permission to install a mooring on Cockles Harbor at a location designated as latitude 41.07961 north and longitude 72.29765 west, formerly occupied by the J&L Eklund C-1107 mooring. And whereas a public hearing was duly held on the 20th day of August, 2021, and continued on September 10th, October 1st, and January 7th, 2022, for all interested persons to be heard in favor of or opposition. Now therefore be it resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized to issue a permit for the aforementioned installation. So moved.
Second.
Councilman Colligan seconds and votes aye. Councilman Ianfola.
I was going to say discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Amber.
I wanted to check in with Meg and BJ. Are you guys comfortable moving forward, given, your newness to the board?
That was my concern as well. That's why I seconded, but I didn't vote aye. I was concerned about two new members, how they felt.
Yeah, I hate to dump it on your shoulder. You're either comfortable or you're not comfortable with it. Because I've been, deliberating this since when, August 20th, and
Correct.
I'm comfortable with the issues and the conclusions that I've personally reached at this point. Just didn't know if you wanted more time.
I thought I did, but I think this public hearing really helped solidify what I was already thinking. That it's a transfer that I'm support.
Okay. All right, then I will vote aye.
Meg, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I've never not necessarily been in favor of the transfer, but I do want to go through the mooring code and really focus on commercial moorings and their usage, and make sure that they're being used in a way that works for everybody in the community. So I do want that to be a focus coming up.
Okay.
I've already reached out to the Bay Constables as the people that are out there and asked them to compile, issues as to what they see with the mooring code and what problems we face on that. So I'm hoping that sometime in the next week we can start taking a serious look at that.
That'd be great.
All right. So Councilman Colligan, second. Councilman Ianfola.
Aye.
Councilman Brock Williams.
Aye.
Councilman Lawson.
Aye.
So moved. Okay. Do we have to read all 8 of them? Do you guys have them?
Yeah, I got him. You ready?
Okay. Yep.
But
Whereas
just
Ramsey-
give the number. You don't have to read everyone because they're all worded the same. Just give the,
Yeah, I can do the.
The ECLA number.
Okay, go ahead, Jim.
Okay.
Yeah. Second mooring is formerly occupied by the J&L Eklund C 1108 mooring. The next one down is the,
well, you should vote on individually though.
Okay.
Wait, yeah.
Okay.
so moved.
Supervisor Silla seconds and votes aye. Councilman Colligan, Councilman Ianfola,
Aye.
Councilman Brock Williams,
Aye.
Councilman Lawson,
Aye.
so moved.
Third mooring occupied by J&L Eklund C 1109 mooring. So moved.
Supervisor Silla seconds and votes aye. Councilman Ianfola,
Aye.
Councilman Brock Williams,
Aye.
Councilman Lawson,
Aye.
so moved.
Fourth mooring is formerly occupied by J&L Eklund C 1110 mooring. So moved.
Supervisor Silla seconds and votes aye. Councilman Ianfola,
Aye.
Councilman Brock Williams,
Aye.
Councilman Lawson,
Aye.
so moved.
Fifth mooring formerly occupied and owned by J&L Eklund C 1111 mooring. So moved.
Supervisor Silla seconds and votes aye. Councilman Ianfola,
Aye.
Councilman Brock Williams,
Aye.
Councilman Lawson,
Aye.
so moved.
Sixth mooring formerly occupied by the J&L Eklund C 1112 mooring. So moved.
Supervisor Silla seconds and votes aye. Councilman Ianfola,
Aye.
Councilman Brock Williams,
Aye.
Councilman Lawson,
Aye.
so moved.
Seventh mooring formerly occupied by J&L Eklund C 1113 mooring. So moved.
Supervisor Silla seconds and votes aye. Councilman Ianfola,
Aye.
Councilman Brock Williams,
Aye.
Councilman Lawson,
Aye.
so moved.
Finally, the eighth mooring formerly occupied by J&L Eklund C 1114 mooring. So moved.
Supervisor Silla seconds and votes aye. Councilman Ianfola,
Aye.
Councilman Brock Williams,
Aye.
Councilman Lawson,
Aye.
so moved. Okay, we're gonna close, we're gonna reopen the meeting to the public. Any questions, comments from the public?
Hi, this is Andrea Carter. Thank you very much for taking the time this evening.
Thank you. Julia,
Nothing for me, Jerry, thanks.
okay.
Pam?
Jerry? John Kerr, yep,
This discussion's open for other topics besides Ramsey,
yes,
correct?
yep.
Okay, I'd just like to talk, I know, I don't see that Joe is there tonight. And I have a question to him concerning the meeting that you had on December 23rd. And he was talking about the proposed engineering for the sewage treatment facility.
Mhm.
And this is in the paper, it was quoted by Mr. Lombardo that his team looked at the 4 possible positions and settled on the airfield because of the following statement. And he felt that 90 North Ferry Road, where discharges would be in the groundwater affecting drinking water quality for an estimated 50 years. I tried to think about what did that mean? So the effluent from the system that is proposed is going to affect our drinking water for the island for 50 years, no matter where you put this thing? I think we definitely need some clarification about what that means. And we need to see some other towns who've put similar systems in an analysis of that water that comes out of the system.
John, this Tuesday coming up's work session, that's the topic for discussion. We're gonna have all the town committees there and Joe Fenora, and we will start discussing concerns. So certainly, I hope you can be there Tuesday.
Okay, the work session on Tuesday?
Yes.
If you would please, because I don't know if I'll get a hold of Joe, if I could, my question concerning the effluent from the system and its toxicity, if he could find out about that between now and Tuesday.
I'll have him,
it's a
I'll
short
make
period
a
of time.
note to have, I'll make a note to have him get in touch with you, John.
That'd be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Pam?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to say, except that I'm surprised that you folks didn't take a little more time to think about the moorings for Ramsett Inn, because it's going to set a precedence for those moving forward with the sale of Jack's Marine and everything. And I thought there would be more consideration given to this topic since it was on the docket for at least 5 months. So I'm happy that Ms. Carter has now use of those moorings by your edict. I do not want her to be unsuccessful in her business, and there's been nothing that I'm trying to do to stop her from doing that. I really do like her very much. But this disregard for the state, the town code is beyond me. I don't understand how you can't clean up the code before you make these resolutions. And I guess that's all I'll say. And the other thing that I'm disappointed with is that, the documents are not there. Prior to meetings, we're waiting 3 hours ahead of time before an agenda is posted. Dot is overwhelmed with stuff in her office. Things need to clean up going forward. I guess that's the best I'll say right now.
Thank you.
Hey,
Anybody else?
Jerry, yeah, it's Julia. I have a question. Who's responsible for making sure that the agenda is posted in a timely way?
It's something we're trying very hard to address and get it done. We're a little bit shorthanded. We're changing some positions in the town, creating some more responsibilities for people. We have we've had meetings about this. We're working on it. I would say ultimately, the town clerk is responsible to get it out, but we're working with her to make sure we can get all this done in a timely fashion. We have been inundated lately with, a lot more than we're used to.
Thanks.
Julia, just Jim Colligan, I just think that it's a legitimate question. It's a real concern of the town board, past and present. Has been a concern for a long period of time. And sometimes we have to, as a town board or town attorney or other people, have to take a little responsibility to the fact that, are we cooperating totally with the town clerk's office, giving it to her in a timely manner? Or are we dumping something in the town clerk's office, kind of last minute, 2 hours, a day before? We really need to clean that up because it's not fair to the town clerk. And as Jerry said, or the public, and I agree, or the public, and being shorthanded, all the more reason why we need to address this. And if we can't get it ready by 4 o'clock on Wednesday, 2 days before, or whatever you decide, or we decide as a town board, but we need to clean this up. I agree, 100%.
Okay.
Clean it up.
Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to make a motion. We go into executive session to discuss some personnel matters. Do I have a second?
I'll second that. Councilman Colligan seconds. Both sides.
Councilman Ianfola,
Aye.
Councilman Brock Williams,
Aye.
Councilman Lawson.
Aye.
Okay, so moved. I'd ask Chief Reed and